everybody thinks they're a salesperson, until they kind of figure out how complicated it is to actually build a pipeline and manage it and understand all the nuances of it. So it's a really under-recognized and underappreciated trade. But once people understand and appreciate it, they're usually calling us at that point, because usually what they realize, even if you're a large enterprise, right? Most large enterprises, their sales functions are not structured properly. They don't have the proper systems in place. There's middle management that's, toting the line just right to be able to make the story look good enough, right? In startups.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I am super excited to have you here today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, William. William, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. I get the amazing guest intro. That's
Right?
that's nice. Well, thank you.
You earned it.
I need more people to call me amazing. This is awesome.
You do. I think you've earned it.
Yeah. No, that's good. They made my day.
Nice. You got 3 more hours left into it, maybe half an hour left into yours. You are coming all the way from Singapore today. I appreciate your time immensely. That is awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great to do it. And, time zones are never really a thing when you live in Southeast Asia. So all times are times.
Are now.
You're in Southeast Asia. Yeah, at all times.
So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Okay, well, we're headquartered in Singapore. Konsyg is an end-to-end sales and service company. A better way to kind of describe us is that we're a sales mercenary group. So effectively, we work within various industries, particularly in tech. We're founded to serve tech companies, and we generate revenue for them. So we do that by way of either doing market expansion, go to market, or local expansion if they're not necessarily that competitive in the market. And then we also just try to develop a sales pipeline for them to be able to have sustainable revenue. So we're an end-to-end service, probably the only actual sales and service company, even though there's tons of companies that say, we will get you sales. We're a floating sales department. We literally are the sales team for a variety of companies in the world.
Nice. Well, let's back up the bus a little bit. How did you get into sales as your thing?
Wow. We only have 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 35 seconds or less. How'd you do it?
Oh, man. Okay. So originally got into sales by accident. I'm an international relations major out of Bowdoin College. I was supposed to be in government and doing all that. And then I kind of got a little greedy, and I think that I ended up in sales by realizing just that sales people have the opportunity to be able to make large sums of revenue for themselves. That was the initial interest, and then got into the sales world by way of being an intern, actually, for a lead generation company, and then ended up getting a full-time role there, and then ended up moving into Google, where I was on the sales floor. So I was on the sales floor for about 3.5 years. And then for a year, I was head of knowledge, where I was actually building other salespeople. So sales just kind of fell into my lap, actually. But there's a lot more to that, but that's my 35 seconds.
Nice, I love it. So you mentioned that you're going in a floating sales team for businesses. I can't tell you how important that is, but how important do companies recognize that? Because oftentimes they'll put a caveat on it. It's like, when I make money, then I'll hire a sales team. It's like, well, it's kind of not how it works. And especially when it comes to expanding into different regions and doing things so wrong, people do things so wrong. So let's start at the beginning. For kind of what size business or what industry or what credentials does somebody have to have that they're at the optimal place for going, hey, well, we need to talk and come on in?
Well, at any real stage, actually, because sales is kind of a fluid thing. It's something that, look, you have marketing degrees in colleges, right? You have engineering degrees, there's no such thing as a sales degree. No one has an MBA in sales, right? And a lot of times when people think that they like know business or they know marketing or they know engineering or technology or they love their product so well that they believe that they can sell it, right? Everybody thinks they're a salesperson until they kind of figure out how complicated it is to actually build a pipeline and manage it and understand all the nuances of it. So it's a really under-recognized and underappreciated trade. But once people understand and appreciate it, they're usually calling us at that point because usually what they realize, even if you're a large enterprise, right? Most large enterprises, their sales functions are not structured properly. They don't have the
What?
proper systems in place. There's middle management that's, toting the line just right to be able to make the story look good enough, right? In startups, they're heavily influenced by the content that's out there, i.e., media, blogs, things like that, that tell you this is how your sales team should be, or this is how, when you have a salesperson, this is what you need to do to them. And it sounds very convincing, but also a lot of times very incorrect because most salespeople in startups are alone and given very unrealistic targets and expectations. It's based on a love for the product more than the realities of what the market's going to do. And then
What?
for
You don't just have to
SMEs,
give somebody a quota and they'll perform,
oh, absolutely. I mean, apparently that's just how it works, right?
right?
The money, yeah, we can totally control what people do. Like, why are they buying? It's like,
Right?
well, that's interesting.
It's the end of the month.
Well,
What do you got?
yeah, you know, exactly. Or even worse, your product isn't ready yet, right? No one's buying something that's not there, right? So you get all of it, right? We've seen it all. And then also for SMEs, last but not least, you have sometimes practices that worked
Mhm.
that don't work anymore. So they haven't evolved, right? And that's also some of the challenges that people come to. And then they say, well, look, how do we transform and be able to get our pipeline back up and running? So all of those examples are usually when you would need to outsource and probably contact a Konsyg for that.
Nice. Well, and I've seen so many times, especially in the tech industry or SaaS, that the audience that a software company will start off as, oh, this is the perfect product for these guys. All of a sudden, they start to realize, hey, we got a lot of people over here buying. Like, what's going on over here? And they realize that their true growth market is something that they didn't even realize or see before. Have you come across that, and or like, how do you deal with the changes in where somebody thinks their market is, or they think their product's going to go, and then you're looking at the data going, I actually got a huge opportunity over here. Have you looked at that?
I absolutely love that question. It's a very unique question because it is actually something that is one of the most common challenges that we deal with, which is preconceived notions from the client, right? Um, Very often they say, we know exactly how it's going to sell, we know exactly the market, and we know exactly what's going to happen, and we believe this is going to be the response from the market. And then my thought is, well, why do you have us? Why don't you just go and do it,
How's that
right?
going for you?
It was just that easy. Yeah, like you should be a unicorn by now. So yeah, so I think that like the way I would address that normally is pretty much like putting the logic out there, making some historical context, right? Because usually when people take that position, there is no historical context. It's just assumptions, or it's, we believe this to be true, but believing it to be true isn't necessarily a fact. So oftentimes we will go down that path with them, but at the same time, simultaneously, we will work with them to say, hey, look, let us just try this little pocket right here for you, and let's just see how the two measure up. That challenge is so common. We've actually opened up other markets for businesses. That we had a cybersecurity client, we opened up the Nordics for them. And they were like, we won't be able to do, and it's now 60% of their revenue.
Nice.
So, these type of things happen all the time. And it all started with, no, we know. But oftentimes you don't really know what other people or the market's actually going to do. And that's usually where the challenge is.
Nice. So when it comes to people and the love of their product, oftentimes I see that they just end up talking about their product. These are the nuts, these are the bolts, this is how the engine works. It's like, unless you have a Mercedes, I don't think anybody cares how the engine really works. Like, that's not the
No.
thing that they're going in for. So how do you help people to kind of get over their own thing when, I mean, that's their baby, that's everything they put into it?
I give them the Google example because when I was in Google, everybody thought, well, it must be so easy to sell Google. No, people like to come in for the lunch and the t-shirt, but they're not necessarily spending 10 grand with you right then, right? Nobody cares about any product. Nobody cared about what we were selling to Google until we actually pitched and identified pain points and contextualized it, right? So if you're doing a features and benefits sell on how great you are, people will probably 80% will see this is awesome, super cool. Not this is awesome, we need this tonight, right? And sometimes it takes a few misses for people to kind of understand, maybe I'm pitching wrong, or maybe I'm just selling my love for it more than selling the product as it is. Um, that's something that needs to be learned, not from external voice. They have to have a few fails first in order to be open to that conversation because it is an ego hit, actually.
Well, and especially I find if people have been around their own product for a few years or even months, and the clients are completely oblivious to what it does. It's like trying to explain Google when it first came out. It's like, you're
Right.
what? You do what?
Yeah,
I'd pay for what?
exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I can't imagine what it was like trying to, because often, like in an industry like that, you're having to explain the words that you're using and then explaining why you explain the words and going,
Oh,
and this is
yeah,
why you need to know what
absolutely.
that word meant.
Absolutely. And most tech is like that today, right? Because, there's so many amazing, innovative tools, so many, but you're almost explaining something that hasn't, since you're such a
Cutting
new
edge.
thing, you have to explain the reason why that even exists. Because a lot of people, particularly if you're an older company or an established company, it's very difficult for them to conceptualize the idea of it. Like outsource sales, accounting, same exact thing, right? It's saying, no, we're actually a floating sales department. No, no, we're actually your sales department. Oh, you lead generation company? No, no, we actually generate revenue for you. And it's like, well, we haven't seen that on the market. We know, so this is like a common battle that goes on. So I definitely sympathize with a lot of those innovative companies out there.
That's awesome. So when it comes to doing sales, a lot of people think, oh, well, that's really expensive. And it's like, well, okay, so you're doing X. You could be doing 10X. And if you had to pay 1X to get there, yeah, it's a lot of money compared to what you're making now. But it's like, and how do you get through that transition of helping people to understand that they're not spending kind of their current money on you, they're spending potential. It's like they're if they want to grow their business, are you already dealing with people that already understand, hey, I want to 10X my business, this is where I
No,
want to go, this is what I want
no,
to do, help me get
yeah,
there.
no, no, that's not the majority of the
Like,
market at all.
yeah, that
I
sounds
wish it
like a
was.
unicorn.
That's absolutely not. I think that it's hilarious because people are like really comfortable hiring a person like a VP of sales and paying that person a salary, right? Like an
Yep.
actual base salary, but that person doesn't do any sales at all. They actually hire a team under them, which is more payroll. And then those people do the sales. And then if they don't do well, then the VP will fire them after 6 months or 9 months or something like that. And they'll proceed to do this system up until they're able to like actually just leave like in good standing, and then they go get a job at like Facebook, right? Like that is literally the story on. So they're very comfortable, and a lot of companies and founders are comfortable because that is what is known, that is what is comfortable, that is what's on the blogs, right? You gotta get a sales leader in this organization, a leader, and they're gonna drive it through. But really what's happening are these things. So they're comfortable investing in that. When it comes to outsourcing, when you transfer a base salary, which is probably significantly more expensive, into a retainer cost, but you're getting an entire team for that, that connection just doesn't compute. So we've had people all the time say like, "Oh yeah, the retainer is just too expensive," and then they went and like got a person from like, another very large company to be the VP, and then you see a bunch of other salespeople. And then I always look at the LinkedIn. I'm like, let's see how long this goes. About 9 to 10 months, they've moved on, right? And it's amazing. So
It was amazing to me in IT because then like they're like, oh well, we'll just hire somebody to do, and you're gonna hire one person to do what our entire company does for you. You have any
yeah,
idea what kind of a unicorn you would need to be able to do that? And I'm just going,
exactly.
okay. I'm like, I don't understand it because to me, sales is innate. Like I started in sales and was like, sales is the engine of your company. Nothing is going to happen in your company other than some ideas happen in a box, and that's great. And you put them in your garage and they will live there for eternity until somebody sells them. Like you have to understand that this is paramount. And it's that information that you get from the salespeople to find out where your market is, where your interest is, where the curiosity and the vim comes from. It's like that magic sauce that everybody's hunting, and they don't seem to realize that it's in their sales team. Their sales team is the magic spoon, if you will, that finds that elixir. You can't do one without the other.
Man, I mean, I need you to be our spokespeople out here, because but a lot of it's rooted in the fact that everybody believes they can do it.
Mm.
Everybody themselves, they watch Wolf of Wall Street, and then magically everybody's a salesperson, right? And I'm like, do you guys realize that that movie is the example of like the worst way to sell ever? The guy is a criminal. Like they're creating criminals with salespeople. I'm like, the guy went to jail. Like I
Yeah,
don't
you know,
understand how have we come to this point in sales where you watch like Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street? It's like, I want salespeople like that. Criminals? Like, really? Like, is that what this is? Like, so that's what people think of the trade. That's why they have a hard time believing that it is a lifeblood of an organization, because they've been heavily influenced by, I think, a stereotype and a perception of what sales is. A salesperson is someone who's supposed to get over on you, who's supposed to trick you into giving money, which any real salesperson knows that's absolutely the opposite. In fact, I'm probably the most on. I had a call earlier today. I said, "Hey, look, actually, there's like a few things here that like we just cannot do." Right? Like I just straight up said it, and it was better because we're able to actually get to what we can do and why it's more valuable. So, not a lot of people share your opinion about salespeople because they don't really know what a salesperson does.
people, well, apparently you got to go back to sales one because it to me it's criminal, and it's criminal that people don't have a system too. I mean, back in the day, it was like the Zig Ziglar and the close, and I was like, okay, I get it that there's something in sales that I don't get, but I also get that it's not this. This is not what I'm not getting. I am never going to say
Yes.
this to anyone in my entire life of living. Thank you. And it may work at times, but to me, there is the sales aspect. A lot of people, because most entrepreneurs will go in and they're very, high D on the disc profile, they're A-type personalities. It's like, just get the job done. I don't care what you got to do, just do it. I'm results driven, and what you got to figure out meanwhile is on you. And meanwhile, I'm going to go and do these 8 other things because I have ADHD, and, I'm off to the races. That to me is kind of the oversimplified version of most CEOs and entrepreneurs. I love it. And that's the energy I love to harness. And I think they fail in that sales really is a communication skill, but it's not a say this and you'll win the sale. It's bring this
Right.
understanding to somebody in a way that makes sense to them. And, talk to people, have a conversation for them. Where are they at? What
And
do they
even
need?
then, And even then, maybe
Mm.
that person's going on a skiing trip to Hokkaido for 3 weeks. So unfortunately, no, they did not buy today. Right? And that's also something that also doesn't come into play as well. It's just the realities of the world, right? Which is, there's plenty of opportunities that are great, that could be great, that seem great. But then the realities of what sales is, at the end of the day, it's someone else's decision, right? Now, for a little bit more money, if you want to, pay the sales rep like $1.3 million a year, and give them a ski mask and a private jet to fly around the world and take deals for you, okay, that's a different story, right? But then we're in a different world of business here, right? But if we're not going to do that, then ultimately the salesperson has to leave it to the prospect to be able to make the decision. And that's where I think everything gets confused, is that the salesperson, I've never sold anything in my life. I've been in conversations to where people have made proper decisions on a value proposition that I've delivered. But to say that I sold someone, like I had control over the sell, nobody does. Right.
Exactly. I love it. I could talk to you forever on this. But in a moment, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well, if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I'm super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Very interesting story, because it was also part of our Cinderella story as well. So when I started the company, actually, I was at a cafe and I officially registered it the day before. And at the time, I had a meeting because there was a recruiter that was trying to convince me not to start the business and to work for a company. I can't say the name nor the industry because it'll give it away, but it was in Singapore. And it was one guy, and he was actually American. And he owned, he had just started as well, this tech company. And I was meeting him for an interview, actually, to be VP of sales for his company. And I said, sorry, I actually just started my sales mercenary group literally yesterday. And what I can tell you is that don't hire me. What you can do is just contract my company, and I can show you how much more we can deliver than me individually. And it was only a 2-person shop at that time. And he was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll give it a try. Well, we ended up working together for 2.5 years. We took a pause for 6 months and came back for another 2 years. They're a $87 million company now. Huge company, and we were definitely part of their origin story, and they were a part of ours. And we even still, we bump into each other outside in Singapore. We definitely kind of share a laugh and say, wow, like from that cafe, the cafe was Sarni's actually in Singapore, if anybody knows. From that cafe and us both kind of starting our businesses, we were able to kind of make some magic together. So that's definitely, now we've helped a lot of companies exit since then, and helped a lot of startups kind of move to Series A and B, and then also acquisitions. But that one meant the most because that was actually the first check that Konsyg ever got, and I remember cashing that and paying the people. So to see that company be what it is now, and to have been kind of part of that is, I'll never forget that.
Nice. Wish you had photocopied the check, don't you?
I did. I did. I got it. I got it.
I'm assuming it was way back during the age of photocopiers, as opposed to take a picture of
No,
it.
I did a phone scan. See, I'm ex-Google. See, we had the photo scans even back then. So I definitely had that on my Android at the time.
Awesome. I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Well, they can go to konsyg.com, KONSYG.com. And definitely just reach out to us through the website. Very easy to find me, actually. So once you're on the website, have a look around first, take a look at some things. We have some cool stuff. We have a podcast as well. We have nice blogs and videos.
What's the name of the
and
podcast?
stuff. Konsyg Fireside Chat.
Nice.
We're on Spotify and all that. And through there, if you guys want to have a chat, if you're in the region, or if you're in Chicago when I'm in Chicago, or in the States when I'm in the States, I'm friendly. So we can always hang out.
I love it. And peeps, we will, of course, have all of William's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So, William, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Love the question. I wasn't.
You haven't figured it out yet?
No, so to be honest with you, I started Konsyg out of spite, right? Spite is another type of crazy, right?
It is.
Because there's crazy like, oh, I believe I can do this. And then there's another crazy, which is, I'm going to do this. So professionally, I was getting frustrated with how sales systems were structured, and there was a lot of frustration, and there was a lot of things that red tape and just very odd things that were going on, that plans that just I knew wouldn't work. And I said, I would love to be independent and be able to actually say it like it is. And kind of a little bit of that angle is where the energy of Konsyg kind of came from, which is like, look, I'll tell you what your pipeline really is. We're not talking about 10% month over month growth numbers and look at the growth, look how, all these charts that are going on that actually aren't really telling the truth, which is where's the actual deals, where are the contracts? The company was started out of spite. So that was the level of crazy that got me to be an entrepreneur.
Nice. I love it. Freedom fighters versus entrepreneurs, kind of same.
All day. All day.
You have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Definitely, if you're a salesperson out there, what I can say, if you're a sales rep, work for your sales career. Don't work for a company. Work for a company, but when you're working, make sure you're working for your sales career. And if you're a business owner and entrepreneur, be open to really what your sales pipeline actually is, not what you want it to be and hope it to be. Because if you look at reality, you might actually get a lot more value and sustainable revenue off of looking at reality. I could go on, but I won't.
Love it. And thank you so much for your time, William. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thank you.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.